The Haunting Tales of TimeHill Season 1. TimeHill, a small town nestled deep in the mountains. A place where time seems to slow, as if it has stopped. By day, it may appear calm and quiet. But by night, it's filled with stories, whispered and passed down, every night. Chapter 1: The Whisper from the Haunted Library. Short Mystery Tale. The Whisper from the Haunted Library. On Halloween night, during the first snowfall of the year, the ancient University of Arceus stood quiet beneath a white blanket. No one dared step into the North Wing Library. Every Halloween, the same sound echoed within those dusty walls. Footsteps circling the bookshelf, but no one was ever there. One student, Alina, didn't believe in ghosts until one Halloween night. She returned alone to retrieve a book she left behind. The door creaked open by itself. The cold smell of old paper filled the air. Then, she heard a whisper.
"Don't open that book."
The voice came from nowhere. It came from a book, a black-covered book on an old oak table. No title, just a final page that read, "Whoever opens this shall become the next keeper of the library." That Halloween night, the footsteps fell silent, and Alina was never seen again, except for the sound of two sets of footsteps that now echo every Halloween. Chapter 2: The Timekeeper and the Curse of the Clock Tower. In a small town covered in mist for most of the year, there stood an ancient clock tower in the middle of the square. It had stood tall for over a century, but on every full moon at midnight, a soft whisper would echo from the top of the tower.
"Help me, I'm trapped in here."
A man's voice, echoing through the midnight chime. Rumor has it, a clock repairman vanished 50 years ago, after going up to fix the tower's gear system. One night, a group of schoolboys and girls, curious and fascinated by mysteries, sneaked up the spiral staircase of the tower. The old steps were steep, covered in thick dust and cobwebs. They chatted and laughed, forgetting the time. Suddenly, they realized it was almost midnight. They rushed down in a panic, all except Theo, who had dropped his glasses on the way. At that very moment, the clock struck 12, and the whisper returned, louder than ever.
"Help me, I'm trapped in here."
Theo rubbed his eyes. He saw the faint silhouette of a man standing by a wall. The man who looked exactly like the missing clockmaker. There was a sealed door behind him. Thinking it was just his imagination, Theo turned around and spotted his glasses. As he bent down to pick them up, he noticed a small wooden box beside it. Curious, he opened it. Inside was an antique locket, a miniature clock pendant. When he opened it, he found a tiny key hidden inside. Instinctively, he walked back to the wall and inserted the key into the old locked door. As soon as the door creaked open, a burst of glowing blue light shot out, and a voice spoke gently but deeply.
"Thank you for releasing me. Now it's your turn."
Before Theo could move, his body was pulled into the light. The other four friends ran back to help Theo, but they were too late. And then, the door slammed shut. Since that night, every full moon at midnight, the clock ticks perfectly again. But the whisper has changed. Now, it's the voice of a boy. Theo's voice.
"Help me. They've locked me in here."
Chapter 3: The Music Box and the Forgotten Picture. The rain fell relentlessly, thunder echoing across the city. All ran through the storm and took shelter in an old, antique shop. A shop with no name, no owner, and no other soul inside. Only a faint melody could be heard, drifting from within. Al followed the sound until she found a carousel music box sitting atop a dusty wooden table. The carousel spun slowly, even though no one had wound it until it came to a stop. Beside it was a note, written in faded ink. "Wine wants to return in time, but listen until the end." Al wound the box once. Music began to play, and the world around her shifted. From rain gives to spring gives to summer gives to autumn, until it stopped at winter. Al found herself standing in a childhood bedroom. Yet the furniture and decorations had changed. It wasn't her room. It belonged to someone else. A shadowy figure appeared in the dark corner. a young girl sitting at a desk. The girl quietly closed the drawer and turned around. In her hand was a small, golden key. She held it out to all without a word. Her eyes were filled with farewell, and then her figure slowly faded into the shadows. The music continued to play. Then, I'll notice something beneath the Christmas tree. The same carousel music box. Beside it, an old card written in her mother's handwriting. It read. But before Elle could finish reading, the music ended, and she was back in the antique shop. In her hand was the key the girl had given her. Elle rushed home, ran to her bedroom, and unlocked a drawer in her old wooden desk, one that had been sealed for years. Inside, she found an old photograph. It was a picture of Elle and her long-lost twin sister. Another card lay inside, with a message that read, "A gift for both of my daughters." And then Elle remembered, a memory long buried. She had been only 6 years old when her twin sister, Eileen, disappeared on Christmas morning. Her family never spoke of Eileen again, as if everyone tried to forget. But this music box was the only gift that held their memory forever. Chapter 4, Room 306 and the Stringless Violin. At an old university in the town of TimeHill, during the cold of winter, all new students were moving into their assigned dorm rooms based on the results of a room draw. Among them was Rowan Ashcroft. He had been at this school since high school, and now he was a university student here as well. Rowan was assigned room 306, located at the very end of the hallway, its door thick with dust, as if it hadn't been opened in years. On his first night, while Rowan was fast asleep, at exactly 3:06 a.m., the lights in his room began flickering on and off, followed by a faint melody. It was the sound of a violin, echoing gently around the room. Rowan assumed it must be a student next door practicing. Exhausted from moving, he eventually drifted off to sleep again. The second night, at the exact same time, 3:06 a.m., the lights flickered again, and the violin returned. This time, Rowan rushed to open the door, but the hallway was completely silent. Frightened, he hurried back to bed. The next morning, as Rowan woke, he found a violin lying on his bed, but it was a violin without strings. He was stunned. He never owned a violin. Panicked, he grabbed the stringless violin and ran straight to the dean's office. The dean was visibly shocked. No one was supposed to bring a violin into the dorms. Finally, the dean revealed the truth. Decades ago, a student from the university's second class, named Elliot Grayson, was a gifted violinist, preparing for an upcoming competition. Elliot's roommate once shared. Elliot had heard an enchanting violin melody coming from the pond behind the university, to the south. Curious, Elliot went to investigate. His roommate, busy reading, fell asleep in their room. But at 3:06 a.m., the roommate awoke to the sound of a violin coming from inside the room. Assuming it was just Elliot practicing, he went back to sleep. The next morning, Elliot was gone. That evening, a janitor found Elliot's violin lying next to the black, deep pond behind the university, a place feared by many. From that day on, the area was sealed off, strictly forbidden to students. But still, every night, at exactly 3:06 a.m., a single violin melody continued to echo from room 306. The university enforced a strict rule. No violins were ever to be brought onto campus again. And so, room 306 was permanently sealed. But even now, at the same time every night, the sound of the violin still plays. Chapter 5, The Cursed Ballet Shoes and the Vanished Girl. The ballet club room of a university in the city of TimeHill. Emily was often nothing more than a shadow in the club. She always stayed behind to clean the room after practice, and made sure everything was ready for everyone. She would quietly watch her friends rehearse from the corner of the room. One day, While putting things away in the old storage room, Emily discovered a large antique mirror with a pair of pink ballet shoes placed neatly in front of it. She was surprised, surely no one should have left them there. But something about the shoes drew her in. She felt an instant connection to them. So she tried them on. And when she looked into the mirror, Emily was shocked to see herself transformed. Her posture, her presence, her grace. She looked like a professional ballerina. From that night on, Emily returned to the old room every night to practice alone in those ballet shoes. She danced beautifully, growing more confident each time. Soon after, there was an audition to perform at the annual showcase on the grand stage of the oldest theater in the city. Emily joined the competition and stunned everyone with her breathtaking performance. She was selected to be the lead dancer. Serena, a classmate and once the shining star of the club, grew jealous of Emily's sudden rise. She secretly investigated and discovered the truth about the shoes. Before the night of the big performance, Serena used her family's influence to steal Emily's spot in the show, and she even snuck into the storage room to take the enchanted shoes for herself. But Serena had no idea that the shoes came with a rule. Whoever uses these shoes must return them to their box in their original place before midnight on Halloween night. If not, they will be trapped forever in the world behind the mirror. The final performance took place on Halloween night. It began at 11 p.m. As the curtain slowly closed after the show ended, the clock struck midnight, and in that instant, Serena was pulled into the mirror inside the ballet club's old storage room. From that day forward, she was never seen again. Emily vowed never to use those shoes again. She began training on her own, this time with true dedication and perseverance. Eventually, she earned admiration from both her teachers and friends. Without any magical help, years passed, but the pink ballet shoes still rest quietly in front of the same mirror. And on Halloween nights, when no one wanders in, people often say they hear the sound of dancing footsteps throughout the night, though the room is empty. As if the shoes were still searching for their true owner. Chapter 6: The Last Train of TimeHill. It was Friday after school when 6 students gathered by the fence behind Archaea University at the spot where an old, sealed-off well lay forgotten. Once everyone had arrived, Creighton began telling the group about a legend passed down since the time of war. On one particularly foggy night, a train was pulling into the final platform of TimeHill Station, but suddenly after a thunderous explosion, everything vanished into the flames and mist. The train and all its passengers disappeared without a trace. Years later, in 1942, a railway intern named Thomas Avery claimed to have seen a man in an old suit boarding a train on a foggy night at 9 p.m. But when he later checked the train schedule, he found that no train had been scheduled at that hour. Many people in the town have reported hearing haunting cries, along with lights and the whistle of a ghostly train. It's believed that these are the restless spirits of those who perished in the wartime explosion. After a string of bizarre events, the station officially closed Platform 13 permanently, banning anyone from going near it again. Once Creighton finished the story, he led the group toward the hill. Alina, an art lover and journal keeper, had a special psychic gift: the ability to sense supernatural energy. She tried to stop her friends from entering the area, but they insisted on going forward. It was exactly 9 p.m. on a night when the fog was so thick, you couldn't even see your own hand. Suddenly, a distant train whistle echoed from the tunnel. A train slowly emerged through the mist and pulled into them. Moments later, long-abandoned Platform 13. The train had no number, no name, and no staff aboard. Each of the 6 Creighton, Ray, Amina, Jeff, Arthur, and Alina reached into their coat pockets. There, they found train tickets. No date, no time, only their names. There's an old legend few have heard. If you hear the whistle of a train on a foggy night, and find a ticket in your pocket. You are the chosen one. Suddenly, the group was pulled aboard the train, its doors and windows sealed shut. No way to escape, except for Alina. Just before it happened, a mysterious man in a station master's uniform had walked up to her and tore up her ticket. The name on his badge read, Thomas Avery. And then, the train vanished, along with the station master and the fog that slowly lifted, leaving Alina standing in the darkness, all alone. Chapter 7: The Photograph That Unravels the Mystery. On Christmas night in the heart of New Craton City, as snowflakes drifted gently from the sky, Celine, a university student with a deep passion for history and art, met Marcus while ice skating beneath the towering Christmas tree. They struck up a conversation, and before long, they discovered they were both recipients of the same scholarship and would be traveling together in the coming week. They agreed to meet again on the day of departure. The night before the trip, at Celine's apartment, her mother gave her a gift, a keepsake from her late grandmother, the only memento she had left. Celine accepted it with delight, though she didn't open it right away. Later that evening, while packing her suitcase, a strange sound came from inside her bag, accompanied by an unusual glow. When she opened it, she saw the light was emanating from a black-covered notebook. Curiosity took over, and she began to read it. At some point, she drifted off to sleep. The next morning, Celine, Marcus, and the other scholarship recipients traveled together to Westford Haven, a European capital brimming with charm, history, and echoes of the past. On their first day, they were invited to attend an art exhibition at the Timeless Hall, a grand museum dedicated to the preservation of history through art. Celine arrived earlier than the others, giving her time to wander the gallery alone. That was when she stopped in her tracks. Stunned, one painting was identical to the one in her black notebook. To be certain, she took out the notebook and compared them. Strangely, the person in the painting was also holding the exact same notebook. As she examined the painting more closely, she noticed a small slip of paper tucked between the frame and the wall. It looked like a ticket, with a person's name written on it, but it was torn in half. Suddenly, bursts of light flared from the painting, and in an instant, Celine was pulled inside, leaving only her black notebook lying in front of the frame. Moments later, Marcus arrived at the museum. He searched for Celine with the staff, but no one had seen her. Then, he spotted a pair of glasses and the black notebook he recognized as hers, along with the other half of the ticket lying on the floor. As he bent down to pick it up, the same strange light erupted once again, and Marcus, too, vanished into the painting, without a single soul in the museum witnessing their disappearance. Every story hides something. Maybe you're the only one who can see it. Stay tuned, there is still something waiting for you to uncover. Please subscribe at Bedtime Story for Mom.